cautions there and just the chaos that ensued?
Whew, I don't even remember. How's that? It was the best. It goes like that. That's nice, right? It was difficult. We made the call there with 30 or so laps to go to stay out. Quite honestly, I think that was a wrong call now looking back on it, but it was the call that we made. We decided to stick with it, obviously, and it panned out for us. It was difficult. There were some fast cars coming. Obviously, the 24 car, they jumped out there in front of us on that one restart, and quite honestly, if that next caution hadn't come out, they would have definitely won the race. But Jimmy got a really good restart on that last restart. I don't know exactly what happened between Brad and Jeff. Obviously, those guys got tangled up and got together, and there was some chaos there. But we were able to scoot away and get going. And then on the next one, Jimmy did a great job on that restart. Got out there, was able to check out a little bit, and then I think there was more beating and banging behind us. So we were kind of ahead of that, thank goodness.
What is it about Texas racing here that makes you so successful?
Quite honestly, I think this is one of the coolest racetracks that we go to. Super, super fast, obviously. I think Tony's got the track record now and qualifying for over 200 miles per hour. It's ridiculous how fast we are around here. But what's so neat about it is the tires wear out, the cars are slipping and sliding. If you don't like watching racing here at Texas, you don't like watching racing. It's just spectacular the way the guys are sliding the cars off the corners. It's a lot of fun. The drivers have to really be in tune with what's going on, and obviously Jimmy does a very good job of giving us feedback about what's going on with the race car, which allows us to truly get in there and manipulate the car and try to make it to his liking so he can get out there and feel comfortable sliding it, drifting it, and driving it the way that he needs to.
We're going to open up for questions. Stan.
Yeah, Chad. Stan Creekmore with CompetitionPlus.com. Jimmy's already said that he feels like you all found something in very recently that changed his whole ability to drive this race car. I know you won't tell me what you found, but was it something you kind of maybe knew about but just didn't quite use, or was it truly something that just suddenly popped up?
It's not a singular item. Obviously, I wish I could say that it was. I wish we could say we had this widget and we put it in the race car, we went faster. That's not how it works. It's always the way you set up a race car is it's a culmination of a lot of ingredients, and when you put those ingredients together, it can work or it cannot work. And we really struggled this year, as you all know. You guys have documented it often, which I appreciate. And we kind of got off base a little bit, and we went down to Homestead last weekend, and we really went back to what our roots were, how we work on a race car, how we want to do things, how we would typically do things 48 style. And we found a little bit of speed down there. We were able to expand on that on the second day, found a little bit more speed, some more comfort, and it was nice. It was a good test that we had down there. So rolling up here, we had some of that back. But now I don't want you guys to forget, I think we led the most laps at Talladega, and I think at Martinsville we qualified pretty well, and we were going to run up front most of the day there as well. So, Charlotte we're going to run really well. So we've had a lot of really strong race cars, but coming into this weekend, I think there was an air of confidence that we started to develop last weekend. And look, don't even begin to think that our pit crew wasn't a huge contribution today. Those guys have been working very, very hard, diligent, and changed the way that they practice, changed their practice mentality, and they came in today and they just did absolutely fantastic. The best day we have ever had with a 48 car pit crew on pit road.
We'll go with Brandon, Bob, and then up to the press box.
Chad, Brandon McAuliffe, Abilene Reporter News. All day long it seemed like the inside line was the one that got going quickest on the restarts. Were you surprised that Jeff chose the outside on the first green-white checkered, which ultimately wound up resulting in the fracas post-race?
I really was. Jeff had gotten, the reason he chose that line was because we actually had the lead. The previous restart, Jeff was on the outside. Jeff got the jump on us and was able to get by us, and obviously extended his lead and was in position to win the race. I had felt like that the inside lane was the proper lane, especially if you could get a good, solid restart. Jimmy and I had spoken about it leading up to this weekend, and felt like that was the safe bet if we could get there. And it panned out for us right there at that point. Yeah.
Bob?
Bob Piper, Sporting News. I have two questions. The first, you talk about finding a little bit at Homestead and kind of going back to basics. As part of that, I assume you worked on 2015 stuff and maybe just kind of starting from the beginning again?
I think that's probably, actually, that's one of the most intelligent questions you've ever asked, Bob. That was really good. Quite honestly, you're right. We did. We went there with a different and open mindset because we showed up with the 2015 package. We began to develop our own theories and our own solutions to the problems that we had, and it was actually really good. We switched the second half of day 2 to the 2014 package, and a lot of the stuff that we had learned with the 2015 package actually applied. So we were able to actually draw some good conclusions and apply that here for this weekend. Because quite honestly, Texas and Homestead are very similar. People may not think that, but there is a lot of similarities with the tire wear.
And I'm afraid this one might be one of the least intelligent, but if I walk around the garage this weekend, your name just keeps swirling around in Rumor Mill. Can you say, are you going to be the crew chief of the 48 next year?
What are you hearing?
I'm hearing you're going there, or I've heard 2 or 3 different places, to tell you the truth.
Man, I haven't heard any of that stuff. You guys keep all the good stuff away from me. You write all the bad stuff, you don't tell me the good stuff. No, man, I'm set. I think that I don't foresee a change with the 48 car from a driver or crew chief standpoint in the near future. I don't foresee that happening. If it does, I'll have to be a reporter because I don't know what the hell I'm going to do after that.
We'll go up to the press box and then we'll come back down here.
Question for Chad. Wolfgang Munzer from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. Chad, you mentioned earlier this track is very fast and also mentioned very shortly the tires. How was the tire wear at Jimmy's car, and how do you approach a fast track like this with setup that you can run the whole distance without any tire problems?
Yeah, you definitely have to be cognizant of what's going on. We were watching the tire wear. There's some elevated tire temperatures throughout the course of practice, especially in the early practice yesterday with the speeds up as high as they were. I think we were practicing race laps in some of the lap times that the guys were qualifying. So we really paid attention to what was going on. Tire wear was extremely high, but that's okay. I think that that's a good thing, and I don't think anybody in the garage actually complains about that. We like it when we have to try to tune our cars to save the tires. We feel like that's a good thing, and we were able to get to work on that and do some things. You know, you have to obviously coach the driver to make sure that he doesn't abuse the tires. I think we saw that a couple times today. Some guys would really shoot out there, go fast, pass a bunch of cars, and then they would lose a lot of track position later on because they were too loose and they couldn't hold their position. So I know from my standpoint, watching these guys off of turn 4 where we were pitted on pit stall 43, man, that was exciting. There were so many cars coming off there sideways. I'll tell you what, Ricky Stenhouse can drive a race car because that thing was sideways every lap coming off of that corner. So it was a lot of fun. You know, this track's really, really great.
Let's go to Marty and then Tom.
Marty Smith, ESPN. How much has this stretch of not winning impacted your confidence personally? And how bad did you need this win?
You know, it was difficult. Obviously, I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. You know, and obviously, going through this stretch has been difficult. We've looked for answers, haven't found them. We've lifted every stone to try to figure out how to get the 48 car to run a little bit better throughout the course of the season, and I think we got blinded a little bit by our own just misguidance, and it was difficult. My confidence was definitely low. I know Jimmy's was definitely low, and you know, look, winning cures a lot of things, but the proof is in how we react beyond this point. How we go to Phoenix, how we produce there, how we go to Homestead, how we race there. You know, those would be the true tale of where we're at.
Tom?
Hi, Chad. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Yeah. We've seen this year Roush Fenway's really fallen behind. We saw Joe Gibbs hasn't won since Talladega in the spring. You guys had a cold stretch. Why is it so easy for big teams with presumably brilliant guys, talented people working for them, and lots of money to fall behind? Because there are people who are falling behind, and then you come back and, you know, kind of put an old school ass kicking on everybody today.
It's easy to do. You have to realize that we were talking about it the other day, Jimmy and I were, that when these guys go out there and when you have the fastest race car on the racetrack and the 25th fastest race car on the racetrack within a couple of tenths, man, it's not that difficult to fall behind. It's a challenge to stay ahead of the curve in this industry. It's hard. It's an ever-moving target. Rules change, processes change throughout the course of the year. We came into the season, we felt a little bit behind from the onset. I think the Gibbs guys maybe did as well. I think they were battling for the championship last year, and they lost a little bit of their edge because they weren't able to test and focus on the next season like some of the others did. Quite honestly, you look at the 2 and the 22 right now. Now, they may go to Phoenix next week and whip us, but they aren't as strong right now as what they were earlier in the year because the other teams have actually caught up to them a little bit. So it's a challenge, man. It's a sincere challenge. And, one of the things that Jimmy and I know, and look, I don't always do the best of, the easiest way to go out there and beat people is to work together. And, when things get difficult, it's almost sometimes more difficult to work together, right? Because you get isolated. So as teams go through the season, if they don't have success, they end up inherently starting to pull apart. And that's a challenge.
We're now joined by tonight's winner of the AAA Texas 500, Jimmy Johnson, driver the number 48 Lowe's Red Vest Chevrolet. You're now the winningest Sprint Cup Series driver here at Texas Motor Speedway with 4 victories. Your 3rd consecutive victory here in the AAA Texas 500. The 6th
That's
victory.
what I look like? Fantastic.
That's exactly what I was like, wow, the red vest.
Wow.
The 6th victory.
And the cowboy hat. It's just a weird...
The 6th victory for Hendrick Motorsports here at Texas Motor Speedway, and your 70th Sprint Cup Series victory of your career. Talk about the win, and then just there at the end, a lot of cautions, just the chaos that ensued.
Yeah, I'm just really proud of the effort. To win 70 Cup races is just mind-blowing to me. So very, very proud of hitting that mark tonight. We wanted to close out the year by having fun, and winning races helps you do that. But I have to give a lot of credit to our test session in Homestead earlier this week. We went down there, and Chad and the guys started making me happy. I guess I've been unhappy for a while, and these guys put some great speed in the race car, got me really comfortable with the car, and we were able to bring a lot of that here and get the car off the truck right away. It was quick, qualified 3rd. And then dominated tonight and won the race. So just proud of the effort. And as Chad said, it's tough when you're going through watching a championship opportunity slip away from you. But you guys asked me questions in here about us raising hell with one another on the radio. But that's part of the process. That's one thing that's been good about us is we've always been able to be honest with one another and say the tough things. And sure, you might not like to hear it, and you might sting a little bit, but it's what's kept us together for all these years and has provided the 70 wins and 6 championships. So I'm just happy to be here and very happy to have our speed back and look forward to these next 2 races.
We're going to take one more question for Chad in the press box and we'll let him go.
Chad Kirsten, NightCatchMess.com. Is it safe to say that you're going to take this chassis to Homestead?
No. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Chad, congratulations. Thank you. We'll go ahead and continue with questions for Jimmy. Raise your hand and we'll get you a mic. We'll start with Drew back here.
Jimmy, Drew Davison with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Can you just talk, do you think having a non-chase driver here for the 2nd consecutive week takes anything away from the chase, or kind of how do you view that?
No, I mean, there's a lot of good race teams, and there's always people that aren't mathematically eligible to win the championship. Those folks always win races at the end of the year. We've been on a hot streak at some years. I think we won like 6 out of 10 chase races, but other years is there's plenty of other people taking the trophy out and max points out. It's just kind of how it goes. So there's a lot of strong race teams in our sport, and it's no surprise to me, for sure.
Stan?
Stan Creekmore with Competition Plus. Jimmy, as we talked the other day, that next to the last caution, had nothing happened with Keselowski, was Gordon going to beat you?
It seemed like there was a bunch of caution or attempts at the green-white. There's one where Jeff was gone, so if that's the one you're speaking
No, the
of,
next one after that.
what happened there?
When Keselowski
When Brad got
his tire.
Yeah, I don't have a clue. The inside lane had been the successful lane, and Jeff just got a really good start, the restart before, and got control of the race. And he chose the outside lane again, which was shocking to me because all night he had taken the bottom. And as I was trying to piece things together, I was trying to make sure that 18 behind me got a good start. So I was trying to communicate to him out the side of the car to let him know when I was going so he could get a run and try to, I guess it was the 2, not the 18, and get a run and try to clear the 24 into turn 1. Because with him on my outside, going through the corner, my car was pretty uncomfortable, and frankly, I just let off some and just surrendered the position. I wasn't going to take him out in the process, and that's how he got by me the 1 where he checked out, and then I was just trying to hold off the 2 the best that I could. And when things changed and the 24 wasn't on my outside, there was no need to lift, and I left it flat on the floor all the way through 4 and just cleared him off of turn 4 and came to the white at that point.
Any additional questions? Bob?
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Chad was talking about the Homestead test, and you guys finding something, and kind of going back to basics. I'll ask you the same thing I asked him. The fact that you kind of started in 2015 mode, do you think that kind of helped kind of the learning process?
Yeah, I think so. The 2015 package, the way it sits, what I felt with the power out, and even though there is some downforce taken out of the car, you still carry a lot of throttle. I'm hopeful that in 16 we can take more downforce out. Your effort and the way you drive the car was very similar to what you have in the 14 package, but just at a slower pace. And there weren't many cars in 15 form, so we were kind of on our own little island, pretty calm, relaxed atmosphere, and just working through stuff. And definitely hit on some things. So maybe the calm environment of being in 15 form helped. And once we got rolling in 15 form, I was hurting people's feelings in 14 configuration and pulling away from them out there with low horsepower. So we knew once we got our car into the 14 configuration on day 2 that we'd be pretty quick, and that happened too. So I think being in 15 form down there helped us.
Tom?
Hi, Jimmy. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
You said when you were in here for your media availability that you are okay with this point system because it's what fans want. Do you think fans want to see fights after races? And do you think the way the aggression Keselowski is showing is really going to hurt him down the road with his fellow drivers?
I need to see what happened with the 2. Based on Jeff's frustration, I would assume that it was pretty aggressive, and Jeff just doesn't go crazy like that and chase people around and after a race. But it can, I think, I don't know, it's kind of a catch-22, and again, I need to see it because when your only opportunity to advance is to win, he had a bad race in Martinsville. He's got to do all he can to win. So, the system is breeding this, and it was by design. I think Brian France sat back and looked long and hard at this and was hopeful that these moments would happen. It's changing the way things take place on the track, and when I think back to when I started, we'd point people by, let them go. There was this gentleman agreement on the racetrack. Everybody told you to study Mark Martin and watch how he lets people go and works with people. That stuff hadn't happened in years. We'll cut each other's throat any chance we get. So, it's just trending that way. we'll see what it means for the future for Brad. I feel like on track, he does a good job. I think he gets himself in more trouble off the track with things that he says, personally. So we'll see how things proceed from here and how he handles all that. What was the first part of the question?
Do you think this is
What fans want? I don't know. I sat in here and made those comments earlier and watched my timeline fill up with people telling me that I had it all wrong. And, you know, from a diehard fan standpoint, I don't believe that's what fans want to see. But I'm confident that tomorrow will be on the front cover of every paper and we're trending on all the social stuff. And heck, you might even make it on the Today Show or some of the other mainstream television shows because there was the fight and there was crashing and all of it. And that's unfortunately what leads to those big headlines. And that's kind of the point I was trying to make all along. And I don't know what the right answer is. You know, tonight, I hope people tuned in to watch, but you just never know. But again, my comments come from a place of caring for our sport, and I want our sport to be viewed, and I want fans in the grandstands. And at the end of the day, that's, if I make a comment in here that somebody agrees with me or doesn't, all I care about is our sport being successful, and you know, I'm trusting Brian France and the executives at NASCAR to take us down that road.
Joey?
Joey Barnes, Tribute Racing. Jimmy, I want to get your thoughts towards the end of that race when you reflected back to saying ultimately had control of the race, being on fresher tires. Knowing that he's in the chase, last Hendrick car standing, fighting for this championship, where do you stand whenever what are your thoughts whenever you're behind him, knowing
and I just made sure that I had a little distance between me and the line and didn't do anything stupid to the 24. Yep.
Any other questions? Jimmy, thank you very much. Congratulations.